Pochettino's recently free-scoring Chelsea Football Club are about to get a lot more deadly.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that we all love goals. We've had 8 of the blighters in the last 2 games alone. Really exciting stuff. And it looks like Christopher Nkunku may well be ready for his, I was going to say return, but initiation, inclusion, his introduction into the Chelsea team, possibly in a matter of days' time, this weekend or this upcoming weekend against Newcastle. He certainly thinks he's ready. We're going to talk about that today. I also want to speak to you about, also, because Nkunku's coming in, he's our signing of the summer. I know we signed loads of expensive midfielders, Caicedo and whatnot, but in terms of like Galactico attack, a player that will excite people, get them off their feet. It should, the pressure's off now on Nkunku because we've been scoring of late, which is kind of the perfect time for him to come in. But he was the Galactico attacker. He is Chelsea's highest ranked player on EAFC. Come on, if that's not a barometer of excitement, I don't know what is. We're going to talk about where he can play, because bearing in mind, we're not playing a 4-2-3-1 anymore, or at the moment, that was the formation we were going to play under Pochettino. The pre-season formation, before that, the formation people expected we would play, because that's Poch's vibe. And when you've got Christopher Nkunku to play in the number 10, that's just what you do, right? But we've been playing much better with a 4-3-3 and Conor Gallagher playing in the midfield with Caicedo and Enzo. So where does he play? We'll talk about that as well. But I do want to start in just a moment on Evan Ferguson, the striker, because he's been linked with Chelsea. It's been confirmed Chelsea is scouting the young Irish lad, the teenager. And yes, understandably, all your sort of gag reflexes from doing business with Brighton will be activated, because I don't want to do any more business with Brighton ever again, personally. Although, Cucurella and Caicedo look pretty good at the moment, but that's not the point. And you could also argue Levi did well to go on loan there. But still, I'm done with getting fleeced. We're going to get into it today. I'm going to show you some metrics in just a moment. Thank you for supporting the content. It's just you can do it by liking, sharing, subscribing if you want to subscribe anyway. Hit the bell if you choose to do so. Alright, first of all, before we talk about Christopher Nkunku's inclusion and where he's going to play, I want to show you something. Zing! This is X-Value, a stats website looking at Evan Ferguson. As you can see here, he's an all-round finisher, apparently. That's what his stats dictate. Now, I've looked at his advanced stats here. I want to show you. This is per 90. His expected goals, he's in the 93rd percentile. He's a young teenager playing for Brighton. Good. So his non-penalty XG is 95. His 85 percentile, 91st percentile. His chance creation is relatively low. And his progression is non-existent, but he's a striker. Now, this kid would cost a lot of money, and he's young. He doesn't represent what Chelsea apparently are looking for, and that's an elite striker. And it would cost ridiculous amounts of money. Now, move over to an also very young striker who we're playing, Nico Jackson at the moment. And as you can see, his expected goals is the 98th percentile as opposed to the 93rd. His non-penalty XG is also in the 90th percentile. Of course, he doesn't take penalties. He's got 6? He's got 6 non-penalty goals. If he was on penalties, he might be on double figures for Premier League goals. His chance creation is good. X over expected offensive value, 97th percentile, and his progression's way better. Expected threat is in the 69th percentile as opposed to the 0 percentile. So his stats are way better than Evan Ferguson. And Evan Ferguson's been playing in what is a settled side in Brighton, in De Zerbi's Brighton. Nico Jackson is a mobile finisher, apparently, rather than an out-and-out. He's really good at receiving through balls, and he likes to drift wide. But his expected goals is incredibly good. Now, it's worth talking about because Nico Jackson, of course, has missed sitters, and that's what really frustrated people. And he's missed sitters, but not only has he missed sitters, there's been times where he's literally just looked really devoid of confidence and had before the last couple of games, he had a game where he just came off and looked bereft, and that was a young player having a moment. But apparently he is a confident lad, And those stats alone make me think, don't go anywhere near a young striker, especially with Breuer as well, on top of Jackson. You know, we've got these young strikers. If you want to buy an Osimhen, fine, that's up to you. Pochettino and the board, you decide. If you've got the money and you can make it work financially in terms of the wage structure, then great. That's a dopamine activating, exciting signing. But in the meantime, like, you know, I would be very, very wary of buying a young striker. Granted, you know, Man United might buy him, he might score loads of goals, look really good, and then we look silly, but I just think for the money Brighton would demand of him, he's got less goals than Nico Jackson now. He's very, very young. He could be an amazing striker, but I just think, I like how he looks, Evan Ferguson. I think he's like very big and fast, and he looks like he's just really built for Premier League football, but at the same time, I just think it would be much too a risky investment, especially when you've got two promising young strikers, and one, ultimately, in Jackson, trending in the right direction, and Chelsea really believe in Armando Breuer. Of course, Albania's just qualified for the tournament as well, and, you know, Chelsea as a club, and then since Pochettino, since he's come in, they're always really mindful to mention this kid, saying, yeah, don't forget about him, because he's bloody wicked, you know. Right, we're going to talk about Nkunku now and talk about how he fits in as well, which also is relevant to this. So Ryan Taylor of The Mirror writes this: Chelsea will not rush Christopher Nkunku's long-awaited return to action despite his burning desire to feature against Newcastle, which is, of course, the game in a week's time. The French attacker, who was forced to undergo knee surgery, of course, in pre-season, against Dortmund and Chicago, is now close to sealing his comeback. Of course, he's ahead of time in terms of his recovery. Chelsea are very pleased with him. Nkunku is back out on the grass at Cobham and wants to prove his fitness in time for next Saturday's trip to St James's Park, when the football returns after the international break, which of course is very boring, apart from A, watching Palmer's debut, and B, by the way, Lauren James scoring a hat-trick in the WSL against the Scousers. What an incredible footballer she is. Incredible. However, Chelsea's medical staff want to make sure they manage his fitness just delicately and correctly, as Nkunku is yet to play a competitive game. True, and I'm all for being careful. You know, Reece James has been coming off 60 minutes on the dot, even if he doesn't look gassed out. Chelsea are being very mindful of protecting their captain. I love that media on the Chelsea socials of, you know, Reece James being followed, and at the end he's giving like hugs to Pochettino. Pochettino gives him a kiss on the cheek. Like, I love to see that bonding from the captain and the gaffer. And yes, I've fallen victim of now and again just forgetting just how good of a footballer Reece James is, and he's just so friggin' good, man. And you know, and Pochettino sees that, he made him captain, and he's beginning to like cultivate this really strong bond with him, which is really, really important. But yes, I digress slightly. They've been really mindful to watch Reece's reintegration into football, competitive football, and they want to do the same with Nkunku. It's understood that the Blues could wait till December. Boring! To free Nkunku from the shackles, of course, we fight the aforementioned Brighton, Manchester United, and Everton. Of course, Everton are, well, they're all in the headlines for different reasons, these clubs. Pochettino said to his forward, ahead of the 4-4 draw of Man City, yeah, so Pochettino said, we had a conversation with Nkunku, and he said to me, Coach, I want to be ready for after the international break. I want to play for Newcastle, against Newcastle. He asked him yesterday and says, and he says, are you lying? Like, you a liar? I'm paraphrasing here. And he says, no, I'm ready. I want to play. Pochettino goes on to say, it's close. He's doing really well. We are so happy with him and the way he's recovering. He's very professional. Romeo Lavia is also close. They trained today on the pitch. Hope that next week to be involved in the team. And we'll see after. Day by day, we'll see if it's possible to play with them in the team. Yeah. Romeo Lavia as well. When are we going to see Romeo? I guess like off the bench a couple of times. I mean, maybe we'll see him feature in the cup against Newcastle. Possible? C'est possible? I mean, Lavia is a great player, but they have to be so sure. And the thing is with Chelsea now is we don't have any like dead rubber Champions League group games or anything like that. You know, the next fixture in the cup's pretty hard, so you've got to really just play to win every single friggin' game. They kind of get that. But midfielders you can't mess about with, because if you get done in midfield, you lose the game. But you know, you can throw an attacker on for 30 minutes, relatively risk-free, and that is the case with Christopher Nkunku, I'd think. But where's he gonna play? Let's talk about that. So I've designed a little lineup here, see? And we're going to talk about how Nkunku will play in this side. Let's just move that over slightly here. As you can see, I've gone for our preferred 4-3-3. Sanchez will remain in goal. Reece James, captain, will be in the front. On the front? Well, it'll be on the right flank, but maybe moving to the front. The preferred partnership of Thiago Silva and Disasi, for the moment, will remain. Of course, Thiago Silva's... he's over 39 years old. He's in his 40th year of life. So eventually, you know, Levi Colwill, Benoit Badiashile can go there, you know. I'm going for Marc Cucurella at the moment over Levi. I think Pochettino is pleased with Cucurella. He saw a little bit of immaturity from Levi against Tottenham. And for left back, for the moment, I'm just going with Cucurella. So this is what I currently think is our strongest lineup. Caicedo, of course, with that midfield three that shouldn't be, broken up. I don't think Gallagher had a very good game for England, but I think that was largely down to misuse from, you know, not so brainiac Gareth Southgate. So the midfield three remains. Now, the front three then is where we start thinking. Now, Nkunku can play on the left, and I think, let's get Sterling out of it for the moment, get Palmer in, because Palmer's just the man at the moment. That could be, at the moment, our strongest front three. Possibly. And that's because had Jackson not scored that goal against City, and by the way, it was a bit of a tap-in, but it was that follow-up chasing goal that you love to see from centre-forwards. That's not the sexiest to finish, but you just have to be there. And it's the most frustrating thing when the striker just isn't there to follow up shots. So I'm really, really pleased for Jackson. And for the moment, like, he kind of keeps his place. And we know that Jackson, from glimpses in the preseason, can link up with Nkunku very well. Jackson loves the one-touch layoffs for Nkunku to run in behind. And there is a chance, ladies and gentlemen, that is our strongest 11. But if Jackson goes off the boil and worries us again, and we need fast, constant, confident dynamism, then maybe you see something like this. Of course, Sterling of late proving he can be the man, and that could be something we see. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with Nkunku, right, now we can start also doing stuff like this. Boop, ding, ding. Playing two forwards, but the kind of false nine forwards that just occupy wider positions, like Sterling and Palmer. They'd both be very happy with that. Palmer says he can play up front, but he likes to play in the 10 and on the right. Now, this position here is literally a combination of all three. The 10, the right wing, and the striker. Combine all your favourite positions and play there. And of course, we know Sterling can play a false 9 left wing, so it suits him. And suddenly, ladies and gentlemen, we have a diamond. A diamond midfield, Gallagher and Fernandes playing the wide 8s, Caicedo sitting, and Nkunku at the tip of the diamond. Very, very good indeed, very exciting. If you need transitional speed, you can play Mudryk. Where is Mudryk? We still have great belief in Mudryk that he can come good. Nkunku's very fast himself, and Sterling can be Sterling is like underrated speed as well. So Sterling running on the right, Mudryk running on the left, and you suddenly have options. And of course, if you want to maintain this formation, if it's working, but if Nkunku, who's recently returned to the side, is looking tired, then of course you bring in, where's Palmer gone? You bring in Palmer again, and of course he says he likes playing in the 10, and you can keep this diamond formation. Works for me. We know as well, we've spoken about it before, how we've played a 4-4-2 formation, where Mudryk can play like that, and was it Gallagher on the right? I can't remember. Or was it? Yeah, Gallagher is like one of the front two actually, so it would have been Sterling here. Yeah, so this is the formation we played. Is it against Arsenal? I guess it would have been... would it have been Palmer and Gallagher? Maybe, possibly. But of course, in this instance as well, if you want like hardcore presses, you could swap Palmer for Nkunku. Suddenly Nkunku can just play in all these different attacks, but I feel like it would be a really interesting prospect to play him at the tip of the diamond, which I just showed you. Pretty exciting. People forget the versatility in Nkunku, because he can play as a striker, as a left winger, as a number 10, as a false 9. He does play in our strongest 11. He just does. I think it's great, like I said recently, that the pressure's off him now, that he doesn't have to just come in and suddenly carry the burden of scoring goals in a side that's not scoring. He can come off the bench and just play a little bit, look to link up, look to express himself. And yes, we all want to see Nkunku with the blue balloon celebration, blowing up the blue balloon. That would be very, very exciting, iconic. That would make headlines, back pages. It's just very, very exciting. You know? Yeah. I want to put out to you guys, what do you think about the attack? Where would you play Nkunku? How would you play him? Do you think it's nonsense about Evan Ferguson, or do you think he's very good and we should try to buy him? How do you feel about Nico? What's our strongest attacking lineup? Comment down below. Thank you for joining me. I do appreciate all your continued support here on the channel, Football Therapy. You can show your support by liking and subscribing, commenting and sharing. And I hope to see you, my friend, back here very soon on Football Therapy. Take care of yourselves, and I love you very much.